For the next several minutes, we're going to go over the standard response protocol. You've probably seen this poster around the school and in the classrooms. You've probably also noticed the different icons. Schools across the country use this standard for communicating and responding to critical incidents. The standard response protocol, also known as the SRP, is used in every Carroll County public school. The key to the SRP is that there is a simple shared lexicon between students, staff, and first responders. Using common terminology allows all stakeholders to operate and respond in a coordinated manner. This lexicon must be shared with first responders so they know how we respond and what to do. Students, so they know how to respond to the directives, especially if staff members are not available to guide them. Teachers must also have a thorough understanding of the SRP and how to respond to the commands. It is also important that parents understand what is occurring when any of the core actions are taken at a school. This knowledge minimizes anxiety and confusion with parents. The SRP is based on 4 core actions: lockout, lock down, evacuate, and shelter. Every action has specific instructions what to do in a crisis, and each action is always followed by a directive. The first action is lockout, secure the perimeter. The second is lockdown, locks, lights, out of sight. Thirdly, we have evacuate, to a stated location. The fourth core action is shelter, for a hazard using a specific method. Whenever these actions are called on the PA, the action and directive are repeated. A lockout is used when there is a threat outside the building. This threat can take many forms. It might be police or criminal activity in the area, some type of civil unrest, or it can even be as simple as a dangerous animal outside the building. When a lockout is called, staff will ensure all outside doors are closed and locked. No one will be allowed to enter or exit the building.
Lockouts are typically called for by law enforcement officials.
Hi, this is Evan with the Broomfield Police Department.
Or district personnel.
A lockout. Okay, thank you for the information. Bye-bye.
Attention students, we're in lockout, secure the perimeter. Lockout, secure the perimeter.
The goals of a lockout are to get all students and staff inside the building.
Guys, come on in. You need to get inside. Go through the first classroom on the right. Hurry, 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 hurry.
And then lock all exterior doors. In most cases of a lockout, it will be business as usual inside the school. However, in some cases, a lockdown may also be issued in conjunction with a lockout, particularly if the threat is near the school.
Student actions begin with moving into the building. Administrators and staff must have a plan to effectively notify those who are outside the building. They should consider options such as radios and exterior PA speakers. For the most part, it is business as usual once inside the building. Once they are in the building, students should not be allowed to go back outside until the lockout is released. If a lockout lasts into recess or lunch, no one in or out. The same thing holds true at the end of the school day. Depending on what is going on, you may have to stay in the building. Sometimes law enforcement will even provide a presence to facilitate bus dismissal and parent pickup. Depending on the duration and the severity of the incident, it is possible that walkers may be required to have a parent respond to pick them up. When a lockout is called, the first thing teachers should do is bring all students inside. If there are exterior doors in the classroom, teachers need to make sure they are closed and locked. Teachers may also be asked to check if nearby entrances are secured. Teachers should be vigilant and report any suspicious activity observed. Teachers should also verify that everyone is still in class by taking attendance and reporting any missing or extra students to the main office. It is a good idea to note the time that the attendance was taken. Almost always during a lockout, it is business as usual inside the building. When might a lockout occur? Some examples would be a bank robbery, a high-speed chase, suspicious person, riots, demonstrations, a custody issue, maybe even a fire in the neighborhood. Who can call a lockout? A student can call a lockout by reporting it to a staff member. A teacher by reporting it to the main office. More likely, the school will receive a call from police, and they should initiate the lockout within the school. This should occur without having to go through a chain of command. What about class changes? Most of the time, it is business as usual. Normal in-building class changes occur. If a threat is very close to the school, the response may be to go into lockout and lockdown. If a school has portable classrooms, students and staff may be brought into the main building. Can we leave the school? Usually not. There's something dangerous near the school. This means that even if the school day ends, we may have to stay in the building until the threat is mitigated. Next, let's look at lockdown. Lockdown is used when there is a threat inside the school building. Typically, we think of active shooters when we talk about lockdowns. However, it can be used for situations such as a trespasser or suspicious person inside the building.
If you are in a classroom when a lockdown is called, the main thing to remember is locks, lights, out of sight. As students gather in a safe area of the room, lock the door and turn off all lights. Have everyone in the room move to a location that is out of sight. Pick an area of the room that can't be seen from interior windows. An actual lockdown may not be resolved for several hours. Here's how you should wait. Stay in the safe location. Don't move around the room. Remain silent. Staff, take written attendance of who is in the room. Note anyone missing and if you have any extra students or staff.
Students should stay out of sight from the corridor window. Also, sit on the floor and get low. A locked door is a proven time barrier. In active violence events, rarely if ever has someone been hurt who was behind a locked classroom door. Be absolutely silent. Turn your phone off or silence it during the initial stages of a lockdown. If there is an actual lockdown, students should eventually be allowed to text their parents to let them know they are okay. Do not open the door for anyone. Administrators or law enforcement will unlock the door and release the room or pass a rescuer card under the door. When a teacher hears lockdown, locks, lights, out of sight, depending on what they see and hear, it might be appropriate to sweep the hallway for students. If the threat is close to your classroom, focus on getting the door locked and closed as quickly as possible. A locked classroom door is a proven lifesaver. Turn out the lights. Usually there is no need to raise or lower the outside window shades, because the threat is inside the building. The goal is to get out of sight behind a locked door as quickly as possible. If you can get everyone out of sight of the main corridor, leave the corridor window uncovered. This allows law enforcement to see into the room from the hallway. Science rooms often have two doors with corridor windows, making it difficult to get out of sight. In this case, it might be beneficial to cover one of the corridor windows. Do not slide red or green cards under the door. This provides little benefit to law enforcement, and you are giving too much information to the bad guy. Be silent and maintain student silence. Silence or turn off your phone. If you are with young students, it may be soothing to very quietly read to them. A lockdown cannot be ended with a PA announcement. It only ends with administration or police opening the door or sliding a rescuer card under the door and releasing the room. If you can, take attendance. Note if you have some missing students or extra students swept from the hall. Note the time. You probably won't need to do anything with the roster at this point, but you're creating a chain of custody that will be useful over the life cycle of the event. There's often confusion between a lockout and a lockdown. So what is the difference between a lockout and lockdown? A lockout is when the threat is outside the building. A lockdown is when the threat is inside the building. After securing the perimeter, lockout is business as usual. Lockdown is locks, lights, and out of sight. If you are outside and a lockdown is called, do not go back in the building. Rather, go to a safe location or a rally point. If there is no teacher, students should try to get behind a locked door or self-evacuate if the threat is not in your immediate vicinity. Teachers should check the halls quickly before they lock the doors and turn out the lights. If you are in a hallway, you should either choose to self-evacuate or get into a classroom that you can lock down. If the fire alarm sounds during a lockdown, stay in the classroom unless you see fire or if smoke is filling your classroom. If you must evacuate due to fire or smoke, the hallway may not be your best option. consider using an alternate door, window, or any other exterior exit. In the time immediately after a lockdown is called, remain silent and silence your phone. As the event evolves, you will be given an opportunity to text parents. Okay, now let's talk about evacuate. Evacuate is how to move students in an orderly fashion from point A to point B. A fire drill is really evacuate out of the building. With the SRP, evacuate is always followed by a location. For example, evacuate to the stadium. During evacuation, students usually leave their stuff behind. They should be sure to listen to any new directions. For teachers, there may be cases where you lead students, and there may be cases where you follow your students out. In a police-led evacuation, you'll probably be asked to lead the students. When you reach the evacuation area, take attendance and note the time. During an active assailant event, another option is to self-evacuate. This might be done through a main exit or a secondary exit, such as an exterior classroom door or a window. During an active assailant, extreme caution should be exercised when using the main hallway for self-evacuation.
When law enforcement begins the evacuation, here's what to expect. An officer will unlock your door and enter the room. Stay where you are. The officer will give you specific instructions you must follow.
Springfield Police Department, you're safe, everything's okay, we're going to get you out of the building. I need everyone to follow my instructions. I need a single file line, leave all your personal property on the floor where it is, form me a single file line right here at the door. Teacher, I need you in front, please.
You will be asked to leave your stuff behind, form a line at the door with the teacher in front.
I need everyone to hold hands with the person to your right and left.
Hold hands with the person in front of and behind you until you reach your final destination. Wait quietly for further instructions from the officer.
Teacher, I need you to walk out, follow the instructions of that officer right there. Go ahead.
You will be told to proceed to the next officer. Walk, do not run, and do not talk.
Walk towards the stairs.
Follow the directions of the officers guiding you during the evacuation. They could be giving you verbal directions
Right to the stairs.
or hand signals. Watch the pace of your line. Be aware of obstacles such as corners, fallen objects, debris, or stairs which may affect the speed your line can move. Don't stop until you reach the location you were directed to.
Keep moving all the way to the end of the fence. All the way to the end of the fence. Keep moving.
Verify attendance and wait for further instructions.
Connor.
Here.
Andrew.
Here.
During a police evacuation, it's important for students and staff to keep their hands visible to the officers. Most likely, you will be asked to leave your stuff behind. If your phone is in your pocket, bring it. If it's in your purse or backpack, you may not be given the opportunity to grab it. Don't be surprised if the officers are loud and demanding. They don't know the extent of the incident yet. They will give direct instructions that you should follow. Again, be sure to keep your hands visible. Never pick up a weapon that the suspect may have dropped. Teachers should follow the same protocols as students. There may be circumstances where you can't bring your purse, briefcase, or backpack. If possible, try to bring your keys, wallet, and cell phone. Teachers should also grab the attendance sheets and the red and green card. At the evacuation assembly area, take attendance. If you were also able to take attendance during the lockdown, verify the students in the assembly area against the roster you created during the lockdown. If everything is okay, show the green card. You do have permission to self-evacuate, but pay attention to the situation. Do you know where the threat is? Can you see the exit? Is it away from the threat, noise, or commotion? Also, remember that a locked door is a proven time barrier. Staff should not evacuate without their students. If you self-evacuate, you should go to a pre-designated rally point. But also understand that older students might go to a nearby business, recreational center, or even a friend or family member's house. In a lockdown, prior to a police-led evacuation, do not open the door for anyone. Police or administration will unlock or slide a rescuer card under the door. It is unlikely that you can bring your backpack. You may not even be able to get into it once police enter the room. There might be an extended period of time before you can re-enter the room, so if possible, bring your phone, wallet, and keys. Law enforcement officers are trained that hands can hold dangerous things. They will want to see your hands. You might even be asked to evacuate hand in hand or with your hands on your head. At some point during the evacuation, officers might want to verify that students aren't at further risk. They may search students and staff for other dangerous items. Now, let's talk about shelter. Some of you may have heard the term shelter in place. Unfortunately, there are many different things that shelter in place could mean. With the SRP, we shortcut it to state the hazard and the safety strategy. Hazards requiring shelter could be environmental, like a tornado or an earthquake, or it could be something like a chemical spill that occurs nearby. Your safety strategy is what you do in response to the hazard. The strategies for specific hazards are also covered in your CCPS Emergency Response Procedures flip chart. The public address might be just the hazard and safety strategy, or it could be shelter for the stated hazard using the stated safety strategy. In either case, it should be repeated. For example, the command for a tornado warning should be tornado, shelter in your designated safe areas. Tornado, shelter in your designated safe areas. In an earthquake, the strategy is drop, cover, and hold. And for a hazmat risk, we would seal the room by taping plastic around the doors, vents, and windows. It's extremely important during a shelter situation that you listen for instructions, as the situation may be very dynamic. As in the other actions, during a shelter event, teachers should try to take attendance and note the time. While not officially part of the SRP, I would also like to mention one more action and directive. It's called hold in your classroom. Hold in your classroom is used when a situation would be best addressed by keeping corridors clear of students. Examples could be a medical emergency or even a student disruption. Here's what to do. If you're in the hallway, go into your assigned classroom. Otherwise, students and teachers remain in their classroom until the all clear is announced. Teachers should also close and lock the door. It can be opened if necessary to permit a student that needs to get out of the corridor. Teachers should also continue teaching, or if the lesson for the day is complete, offer time to read or study. If you're in the hallway, the public address might be made to go to the nearest classroom, or it could be to proceed to your next scheduled class. So remember, the 4 core actions are lockout, lock down, evacuate, and shelter. Also remember, the SRP is a shared vocabulary between students, staff, and first responders during any type of crisis or emergency here at the school. We also encourage everyone to share this information with their students' parents. This information will provide them with a clearer understanding of the actions taken when a critical incident occurs at a school. This presentation would not be possible without the materials originated by Adams 12, 5-star schools, and the City and County of Broomfield Police and Emergency Manager's Office.